Good evening. It's so good to be with you all tonight. A couple of days ago, our family went to a local greenhouse. And greenhouses are fun because you see all the plants and seeds and things that you could plant. You see endless possibilities. You see options. You see things that could be. And when you pick out those things, you can take them home, whether it's a seed or a plant, and you can plant them and they'll grow. There's an old axiom, you're going to reap what you sow, and that comes from Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. And Galatians 6:7 says, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." Most times I've heard this, I have either taken that it's implying or I have inferred by myself a negative connotation. You're going to reap what you sow. You're doing wild things and you're going to one day have to face the destruction thereof. And maybe when people have said it to me, that's what they've meant, so that's why I assume it. But there's another side, and I was telling Amanda today that it seems like every year in some way or form, I come back and I talk about this verse, normally in the spring, and maybe that's because last night I was out in the garden working, thinking about what seeds I was going to plant, thinking about when the summer comes, June, July, maybe the fall, what are those things I would like to go out and reap? Those are the things I need to be preparing to plant now. There's a positive side to this that we can reap those things which we sow. If we want to see good things, then we can plant the proper seeds. We can plant the good seeds and see that. If I was wanting to make an August salsa, then it might be good for me to get tomato seeds and plant them. Maybe some onion bulbs and plant them. Possibly pepper seeds. And so on and so on. Probably some garlic bulbs too for good salsa. And you see, when you know what you want, you can then sit down and you can make a list. Okay, these are the ingredients that we need. And tonight I'd like for you to participate with me, and I want to take two different things, and I kind of wrote them down, and I wrote down some seeds that I think we could plant in these things. And in the comment section below the video, if you think of something that you can add to this, I would encourage you to do that. The first is, instead of not salsa, but in the spiritual sense, someone that wants to know more about God. They wish they had a better knowledge of God. They sometimes feel like maybe they feel a little inadequate, or they just don't have the confidence in what they know about God. And really, there's no reason to feel that, but I can empathize with you in feeling that way. And I don't think there's any reason to desire to have more knowledge of God. What else would we want? What else is better to desire to have more knowledge of than God? So how do we do that? How do we acquire that? What seeds need to be sown so the proper thing can be reaped? And this is just a little, I guess, brainstorm I wrote down. The first thing I put was prayer. Praying. Asking God to send you the Holy Spirit to help open your eyes, to help show you the things that you need to do. Letting God, pouring out your desire to God that you might know more about Him. It will do many things for you. One, it'll open you up to allowing God to help you. It'll help you communicate truly what you want, help you formulate your idea, and then place you at the feet of God in the place where you're trusting Him to help you get there. The next would be reading the Bible. There's no better place to gain more knowledge of God than by reading His Word to you. Reading the Bible. There's many different ways and you know, to read the Bible, and there's different books and things that can help set up structured reading schedules and stuff for you, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and just start in Genesis and go through, or in Matthew and go through, or there's many ways you can do that, but reading the Bible. Then maybe taking a class, a Sunday school class in your local church. There's now many online classes that you can take. Maybe a class in your denomination or association too. Maybe reading some of the great commentaries that have been written about the Bible. These are some just the things that came into my mind very quickly on how you could know more about God. If you have any seeds that came to your mind, please write them in the comments. The other thing is revival in our land. It seems like my whole adult life, I've heard people say, I wish we could have a revival again in our land. Oftentimes I'm one of the ones saying that. What seeds need to be planted in our churches and in our homes and in our communities so that we could see great revival? On my list, the first thing I put was prayer. That'd probably be the top of my list on most things. The second is a personal focus on God. And it seems like as I focus more on God, my family focuses more on God. And it seems like it goes out like a stone hitting the water and the ripples go out. When we focus on God, those around us are going to have a heightened sense of God. Intentionality. And really, with all of these seeds, we have to be intentional in the seeds we plant. But it seems like here, it's even more important, intentionally lifting up the name of Christ. And what I mean by that is, on some of the seeds, and normally the ones I pay more money for, I'm very careful on where I put them. I'll dig a specific hole for that seed or that plant and put it right where I want it. Now, turnip seeds are a different thing. Turnip seeds are cheap. And I sometimes go and I'll just buy the big bag because it feels good in my hand and it's cheap. And turnip seeds are so small, my hands I can't pick up just one seed. My fingers don't work that well. I can't get one seed very often. And so there's no way I can be very intentional when I plant a turnip seed. And so I just take a handful and I throw it out there. I broadcast it. And needless to say, I don't get very many turnips. I'll have one turnip over here that does good, and then I'll have about 1,000 in another square foot that's just, I get a lot of turnip greens, but they're so compacted that they can't really form because I'm not intentional. And it seems like in our Christian lives, we throw so much at it. We just do a little bit of this, and we do a little bit of that. We show up to church on Sunday. We listen to half of a sermon on the radio before we get to wherever we're going. We just kind of do our Christian walk with a hodgepodge, casting it about wherever it might fall. And we fail, and I'm speaking from my own experience, I fail to have intentionality. If we want to see revival, we have to be intentional in the things that we do so that we can lift up Christ. Because Christ has promised if we lift up Jesus, he'll draw all men unto himself. So what seeds can lift up Christ? And as I mentioned, I put prayer, personal focusing on God, lifting up Christ in my life and with my fellow believers as a church, with a sense of urgency. Sometimes I'll be out in the garden working, and I've worked and I've worked and I've tilled and I've tilled, and it doesn't take me very long to till before I get tired. But I've tilled to where I don't want to till anymore. And I can see the storm clouds starting to mount. And I'm out there with a sense of urgency, trying to rake, trying to build my ditches, and trying to get the seeds in the ground before it starts to rain. And there's a sense of urgency. I was visiting with a woman just today, and she asked me, Brother Brad, do you think the rapture is near? I said, it's closer than it's ever been. I don't know exactly, and I don't want to get into an end-time discussion. I don't know exactly what all that's going to look like. But I do believe Jesus Christ is coming back. And I believe that is sooner today than it has ever been before. And I wonder, I seriously wonder, are we planting our seeds with urgency? Do we see the storm clouds coming? Do we know that the seeds need to get in the ground so that they can grow? Are we intentional? If you have any suggestions or ideas on seeds on these two topics, knowing more about God or revival in our land, share them in the comments section. And just please remember to stop and think about, what seeds am I sowing today? Am I being intentional with them? And is there any urgency to it? Thank you, and God bless.